In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful, Secretary General, Lady Chairwoman. Today's slogan is 80 years, more peace and development. It's actually we're calling for a better future. Our religious belief and the invitation of all the messengers of God has been on the basis of equal rights for all human beings. What makes a human being superior is piety, that means pureness, love for humankind. And the underlying foundation is this golden rule that whatever you don't like, you don't prefer, you shouldn't prefer that for others. Jesus Christ also said that treat others in the way that you like to be treated. Prophet of Islam, peace be upon him, also said that none of you is a true believer unless you want for others what you want for yourself. Also, a scholar has said that what is improper for you, you should not want to others. Prefer that for others too. This is what Torah also says. So this is the basis. And secular schools of thought also on the basis of conscience have come to the same conclusion. Your Excellency, is our world in this way? Let's take a look at the world in the past 2 years. We've been witness to a genocide in Gaza. We've been witnessing the destruction of homes and repeated violations of sovereignty and territorial integrity. In Lebanon, we have seen destruction of infrastructure in Syria, attack against the Yemeni people. We've been witness to starvation of little kids, and also aggression against the sovereignty of other nations and aiming the leaders of countries. And all this has been actually by the support of the most armed region in the world, and that's under the excuse of self-defense. Do you prefer this for your own self? Who is destabilizing the region and the world, and who is a threat against global peace and security? Who is violating the golden rule of human morals? Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, all of you have been witness that a few months ago my country came under violation in contravention of international law. Airstrikes of the Zionist regime and also those of the United States against cities, homes, and infrastructure in Iran. And that exactly when we were in the middle of diplomatic process, we're taking the steps. That's high treason against diplomacy and undermines efforts toward restoration of security and peace. This aggression, in addition to the killing of a number of our commanders, women, children, scientists, and our scientific scholars, it dealt a heavy blow to international global trust and prospect of peace in the region. So what you see out of this crime is the slaughter of children and women, and actually it's a textbook of the slaughter that Israel has done in our country. They're all people, women, children, youth, the elderly. That's what happened. This is done in the name of tranquility and peace in the region. The tension was created by them, and with the same process, more than 35,000 people, innocent people in Gaza were killed. Their homes were destroyed, hospitals, clinics, schools, water, medicine, everything. In the face of these violations, if we don't stand against them, this will spread all over the world, attacking nuclear installations that was observed internationally, and trying to assassinate the leaders and officials of the countries that are members of the United Nations organization, and also a targeted killing of journalists and media workers, and the killing of the people who merely have knowledge and expertise, and they are changed into military targets. Do you prefer this for yourselves? among those who have committed such crimes, they need to realize that Iran, the oldest civilization in the world, has always stood against storms and hard times in history. And we have this resolution. We have proved, our nation has proved, that in the face of the aggressors, they will never surrender. And today, too, in the face of the aggressors, on the lines of our faith and national solidarity, we are standing tall. In the 12-day defense, the Iranian people simply proved that the aggressors wrong with their miscalculations. Iran's adversaries unwillingly gave boost to Iran's solidarity, given the longest and the heaviest economic sanctions and bans, psychological warfare, media warfare, and constant efforts in order to divide the people. As soon as the first bullet was fired, the people stood behind their armed forces and stood in self-defense. And now, the blood of the martyrs, they're safeguarding that. In the name of the Iranian people, here on behalf of them, I'm asking all governments, international bodies, and people who have sympathized with Iran, I thank them all. Ladies and gentlemen, today, after a lapse of 2 years of genocide, of starving to death, and continued apartheid inside the occupied territories, and attacking neighbors, this ludicrous and illusional plan of Greater Israel has been being mentioned by the officials of the Zionist regime. This would include many parts of the countries in the region. This shows the sinister schemes of the Zionist regime that has been actually verified by its prime minister. Nobody in the world is negligent about the aggressive nature, and nobody would be safe from the aggression of the Zionist regime. The Zionist supporters do not find it enough to have normalization only. They show this they resort to force, and they call this coming to peace through force. It's aggression, it's violation on the basis of bullying, coercion. But we want a powerful Iran alongside powerful neighbors in a region with a bright future. That's what we want. Against the macro project in which there's ethnic cleansing and destruction imposed on the region, we stand against that. There should be a bright prospect where collective security is there through true collaboration and defense cooperation that guarantees security, a prospect that would see human dignity and cultural multiplicity considered as a fundamental value and safeguarded, the prospect that finds collective effort in the joint investments in infrastructure and new technologies, a prospect in which you have energy security and proper utilization of vital sources. This is a column of economic stability and a prospect that wants environmental, that protects the environment for future generations, the one in which countries' sovereignty and territory are in unnegotiable principles, and a prospect that is not seeking peace on the basis of force, but on the basis of power through peace. In this strong region, massacre and bloodshed is no place. So that's why, for years, my country has been one of the staunch advocates of creating a region devoid of WMD. But those who have the largest, they're the largest possessors of nuclear arsenals, and they have clearly violated the NPT. And every year they're making more lethal weapons and more destructive weapons in violation of the NPT. For years they have been raising groundless allegations and pressuring our people. Last year, 3 European countries were not able, actually, after 10 years of not sticking with their commitments, and actually they saw the Iranian people were not brought to their knees through the aggression. On the orders of the U.S., they used coercion and pressure. They canceled the sanctions of the UNSC to be reimposed. That's what the 3 Europeans did. No goodwill anymore. They simply circumvented legal obligations, and Iran's legal measures in the face of U.S. exiting the JCPOA and lack of commitment on the part of the Europeans. They simply showed and pretended that they are for an agreement, and they ignored and did not find sufficient Iran's goodwill and measures. And this was all to torpedo JCPOA that they themselves called the largest diplomacy in years. So this illegal move that was actually faced the Security Council members, some of the members, is not illegitimate, and it will not be favored by the international community. So once again, in this venue, I'm announcing that Iran has never been for proliferation of nuclear weapons, and it will never be. We are not seeking nukes, and this is an ideological belief. This is a religious edict by our leader. Consequently, we have never sought any weapons of mass destruction and will never do so. When security is stirred in the region by Israel, Iran is facing sanctions. So, and we have some poet who says somewhere somebody committed a sin, and then somewhere else somebody else was beheaded. Somebody is stirring the stability in the situation, but others are facing sanctions. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Islamic Republic of Iran is for peace and stability. We believe that the future of the region and the globe should be on the basis of cooperation, trust, and joint development. And within that framework, Iran is for peace process between Azerbaijan Republic and Armenia. Iran supports that, and Iran hopes that efforts to end the war in Ukraine would see a fair and just and balanced deal between Ukraine and Russia. The pact between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan, Iran favors that as the beginning of a comprehensive security in the region in collaboration with Muslim countries in West Asia in political security and defense arenas. And ultimately, the aggression of the Israeli regime against Qatar that led to the martyrdom of a number of Palestinian nationals and Qatari nationals. We condemn that aggression, and we announce solidarity with the people and government of Qatar. Ladies and gentlemen, real security not through force, but through confidence building, mutual respect, and synergy in the region on the basis of international rights. This is how it should be observed. So on that basis, I invite everyone to hear each other out instead of raising our voice at each other. We should practice this dichotomy in ideologies and political violence is plaguing the international community, and inside society is also being stirred. So this should be the basis of the cultures and ideological, and we should have misinterpretation. Whatever we don't like, also we shouldn't prefer that for others either. So the credibility of international law institutions need to be rectified and restructured, and for a global West Asia cooperation, we should feel committed. Ladies and gentlemen, we Iranians have spread out our power across the world, not by proliferating nuclear weapons and slaughtering lots of people in the 20th century and the genocide and imposing starvation on Gaza's children in the 21st century, and not within empires in the past, but for love for each other. And we have people like Mawlavi and Hafiz, poets, and Sadi, up to his poetry, 800 years, said that human beings are members of the same body, and they're the same in the essence. If there is one limb that faces any harm, other body parts will also be harmed. And if you do not sympathize with others, you cannot be called a human being. So the criminals who kill children and they feel proud, they cannot be called human beings, and without a doubt, they will not be proper partners. So on the basis of its age-old tradition, Iran will be a partner for peace-loving countries. It will not be on the basis of transient contingency. It will be on the basis of future, which is shared. In Iran, we stand against lawless violators and double standards. We left them behind, and we will continue to do so. And today, we are looking at opportunities, and this great accomplishment of the Iranian people. We use this as a springboard for a future full of hope. So let's together use 10 opportunities and thrice into opportunities. Thank you.